Hello, I'm Master Goffrin, and this is hopefully going to be Let's Play Eternal Daughter. Since this is episode 1, obviously we'll be starting a new game. The game starts with this short cutscene. Since the game doesn't spend much time explaining it, let's make sure everyone is on the same page. You play Mia, that baby from the introduction. It's been quite a long time since then, the game doesn't say exactly how much. The guy who just walked off screen was Hume, Mia's half-brother. He's the product of forced relations betwixt Gar and Philia. Also, no one knows who Mia's dad is. If we try and follow him, we find that there's a barricade here, as well as a heart container that we can't get. If anything was going to highlight that this game is a Metroidvania, this would be it. With that little bit of exploring out of the way, there's little else to do here in the starting area other than talk to the other Lorians. They don't really have much to say, being prisoners. It's actually quite a sad story. The other people walking around are Dungarga. They won't talk to you at all and are presumably the guards for this camp. In case it wasn't obvious, they're basically robot people, with orange squid heads. Since our only ability right now is jumping around, this large wooden gate at the other edge of the village keeps us and all the other prisoners penned in. With that in mind, our only real option is to follow the plot and go up to the temple. And that's something this game really does. It lays the plot on fairly thick fairly quickly. The other thing it does is lay the difficulty on fairly quickly. The internet's always given me the impression that, while a very nice looking game, a lot of people find it very difficult and don't get to see much of it. Anyway, this large blue building is the temple from the introduction, and it's where we were sent to go. However, I really want to look at this guy try and pick up this rock. With that out of the way, I should cover the one other ability we have right now, the backslide. Hitting up and jump lets me slide backwards out of harm's way. It kind of wigs out a bit if you try and do it while changing directions rapidly, and can be counterproductive if you do it by accident. Functionally speaking, it's fairly essential to avoid damage early on in the game, as there's a long acceleration time when you start moving. And lo, it's the first boss of the game, Gar. He only has 2 attacks, but he can pretty much kick your ass. Especially if you've only just started the game and don't really know the controls. He ends up either hitting you in the face with his gun, or you don't run away from his sword attack fast enough. When Gar died, he dropped a large heart pickup, which restores 4 hit points. A save point also appeared, placed in case we were very proud to have finally beaten the boss. I know I was. And, well, we can now attack things, roughly as fast as we can press the button. You can also hold it down to power up a charge attack, which shoots a fireball. One key feature is you can still move around while you charge up. I think it does about twice as much damage. Anyway, our friend rock picker-up guy has vanished. And in fact all of the other Lorians have, leaving only the Dungarga. Let's see if they're hostile. Yep, they're hostile. They do die pretty easily though, you can just duck under their only attack. Anyway, we still can't get through this barrier, but we can kill that guy, which seems worthwhile. And, as you might expect, the enemies come back when you go off screen. Whoop. And now we can make short work of that wooden fence. We now find ourselves in Lorian Forest, where the game takes a turn for the more punishing. It introduces 5 new enemies, each with their own awkward mechanic. That, coupled with the fact that this save point up here is the only save point, at least until you defeat the boss, makes this area very difficult for new players. This bird enemy in particular is quite awkward. It darts down on you from above, but as soon as it gets level with you, it goes straight for you, meaning it's very difficult to jump over it. It can also move up outside of its attack range, which doesn't matter here but comes into play in a later area. The best solution is to just hit them as soon as they attack the first time. While it would only do 1 damage if it hit you, it would slowly chip away your health, and you have to Iron Man your way through this whole area. Another enemy that punishes caution is this enemy floating down from above. You're likely to get hit by those while you wait to attack another enemy. These mushrooms aren't in of themselves especially dangerous, but when you hit them they don't stop moving, meaning that if you're not familiar with your attack range, they can just walk straight into you, again chipping off another hit point. Possibly the most dangerous enemy is the frog monster just up here. He has an attack that's difficult to run away from, and long invincibility frames when he attacks. He also takes 4 hits right now. We've seen a few heart pickups on the journey so far, but those are by no means guaranteed. At this point you could easily be down 2 or 3 hit points, and the second frog could easily finish you off. And there's another heart container up there that, again, we can't get. However, of things we can get, just through this corridor, is the first upgrade that we can pick up. It's behind this enemy here, who also kills quite a lot of people, at least if YouTube is anything to go by. To be fair, it's the first time you see it, and it has a fairly awkward attack pattern. Anyway, daggers. Yep, those are daggers. The main reason that enemy claims so many victims is the spores it releases. Generally, people dodge between them but get hit by the inner spore, failing to account for its horizontal movement, and end up getting hit in the feet. It also takes quite a few hits before it dies. Of all the sub-weapons we'll eventually get, daggers are probably the most useless. They're also, I suppose, one of the few optional upgrades in the game. Much like the attack upgrade just below us here, or the heart upgrades, you don't actually need them to get anywhere. However, in order to get that attack upgrade, we're going to need to defeat this boss, the Frog Monster King. At least I suppose that's his name. Like Gar earlier, he too only has 2 attacks, both of which are relatively easy to avoid. However, you're probably several hearts down and kind of exhausted after that long stretch through the forest, so again, this boss is probably going to kill you. It's kind of a shame really, since just below him on the floor here, in an area he can't even attack, there's a large heart which would restore all of your health. I mean, okay, it is guarded by a standard frog monster, but with daggers or charged shots he's fairly easy to dispatch. Anyway, up above the Frog Monster King's skull ledge is the person we're here to see. There's also a few other people in this camp from the introduction. Anyway, this is a pretty long cutscene, so I won't talk over it. They run through the rest of the video. So yeah, bottom line, the princess is in another castle. And that castle is blue and a mountain. So next time I guess we'll go there then.